everyone. Welcome to Let's Talk Shop. I'm your host, Mickie Giacomini, and today I am so excited because we have a fantastic wellness coach, Nolan, with us today. And you know, it's so funny because I'm coming from you, or to you, from the location of Casa Dragonfly in Mexico, but Megan's in Maui, so we're both in tropical paradises. What can I say? Let me go ahead and bring her on. All right. Hey, Megan, how's it going?
Good. How are you?
Great, great.
Good.
So
Thank you.
tell us about your wellness coaching. I know you're a wellness coach and a yoga instructor. So tell us more about that.
Yes. Well, thank you so much for having me. So in my work, I am a personal trainer and I also teach yoga. And about 10 years ago, I decided that those two worlds could meld well together. And so we can use the techniques and the principles of yoga while we exercise. And people were really loving that combination because they were getting the mindfulness aspect at the same time as they were strengthening and stretching and getting the benefits of exercise. And so that was about 10 years ago that I brought them together. And then about 3 years ago, I decided that it would be really great because so many of my clients that I was seeing in my fitness classes and my yoga classes were working at desks all the time. And they were really feeling the effects of working on the computer for a long time. And so I thought, okay, well, yoga has such an amazing application in the work world because posture is so important in yoga. Yes, there you go. Mindfulness, sitting up tall, exactly. Yes. And so teaching people that we can take little breaks throughout the day, and it doesn't have to be, you know, a long extended break, although if you have time for that, that's great. But really what's impactful is to take frequent breaks throughout the day, even just a minute at a time, to stretch, you know, go into a different position, take a few deep breaths so people can integrate yoga into their day. So that's really my work right now, and I'm loving it.
Wow, that's fantastic. I know from, you know, some of those long day meetings that are just so brutal on your back. I can totally resonate with what you're saying, how we need to stop and take time out and really just stretch and do something to help ourselves, because sitting is just killing us, right?
Literally, yeah. And I'm sure you've heard, and maybe some of your listeners have heard too, what they're saying about, you know, sitting is the new smoking. And what they mean by that is that sitting has such a potentially negative impact on our body that the risk factor is up there with smoking a pack of cigarettes every day. And that comes from the lack of movement that happens when we sit. We're more prone to gain weight, our blood pressure goes up, you know, our cholesterol increases. And so all these factors that tend to happen when we sit a lot, but they can thankfully, the research is showing us that if we implement these little breaks throughout the day, then we lessen the impact of sitting and we can stay healthier now and for years to come.
Well, that's fantastic. So is that what inspired you for the yoga at your desk?
Yes, exactly. So the yoga at my desk came from a request really from my clients that I see on a weekly basis. So I go in and do an in-person session and I customize the session based on the demands of their job. And so they were saying, you know, this is great and we love seeing you, but what can we do during the times when you're not here? And so I said, okay, well, let me think on that. And then I created the Yoga at My Desk course. And so currently Yoga at My Desk is 10-minute lessons, and they each have a different focus. And so that way people can take yoga breaks whenever they need to, and it gives them a direction. So for example, there's one on lowering your stress level, or there's one on neck and shoulder tension, or boosting your creativity, because yoga has so many different tools to be able to activate these different things in our body that already exist within us, but help to activate that. So by using the different tools, they could achieve these results, and then they could go back to their work and feeling more present and feeling more creative. Then they get more done. Their productivity increases, their stress level drops. So they were super jazzed on the idea. And so that's what led me to create Yoga at My Desk, the online course.
That I just find that is so important, and I'm glad that you have that program, that you figured out how to make it work for people that do find themselves sitting all day. So, and you've been doing this for, did you say a little over 10 years altogether?
I've been personal training and teaching yoga for 14 years.
Oh,
But
14. Okay, great.
yes, yeah. But the workplace wellness is about 2.5 years old.
Oh, so still very new. That's
Yeah,
fantastic.
very new.
So
Yeah.
now that you see how this has all come together, what kind of advice would you have given yourself, let's say 15 years ago?
15 years ago. Well, I think really what's important in my own work and in anybody's work or in the work of an entrepreneur is to always be connecting back to the reason why you're doing something, like the reason why you're showing up for people, the motivation that you have, like really what are the tools that you're giving somebody, what is the transformation that you're helping them achieve. Because sometimes when life gets hectic or busy, we can get stressed out, right? Like even yoga teachers get stressed out. And so really coming back to that intentional reasoning behind things, your motivation, your big why, your why factor, whatever you want to call it. What is the driving force behind you doing what you do? And sometimes that can get lost. And that's when we sort of disconnect with the intention behind something, and then things change when we're lost in that way. And so I think my advice would be to constantly reconnect to my intention and my motivation, because that allows me to stay in alignment with that. And that's really what helps us stay in alignment with, our purpose and our drive.
That's a really great point. Yeah, just reconnecting with your why. Why are you doing this? And just kind of staying recentered on that, because many times we can go this way and this way and this way and this way, and we just kind of need to come back together and recenter and figure it out. Oh, wait a minute. No, this is why I'm doing this. Now I can get back onto my path for success. So,
Exactly.
zigzagging all over. Absolutely. So you've been very successful at this. So share with us some of your favorite business tools. What would be your very favorite go-to business tool that you just couldn't live without?
Well, I am definitely a list maker. And, because I like to sort of be in the flow, and sometimes making lists, you need to be able to make a note, and I use my phone typically for that. I make a note in my phone, either using just the Notes app, or Evernote is another app that I sometimes use. But then I like to transfer it to my whiteboard. And I think my whiteboard is right now my biggest tool for success, because we all know that we have all these ongoing projects and these things, and people that you want to follow up with, or this or that. And when we have multiple lists all over the place, it can be easy for things to get forgotten, right? And so I think having the big whiteboard and having a few different columns, like things I'm currently working on and people to follow up with, and then future projects, and then, some motivation along the bottom, is sort of the way that I have it working right now. And it seems to be working really well. I think that that's really helpful, because I'm a visual person. And so to see stuff like right out in front of me, it helps me, again, stay connected to it and remember and stay current. So I think that would probably be my number one tool right now.
Right. It's so interesting that you mentioned that, because I know I use some electronic to-do list applications as well, but science research has proven that when we write things down, we tend to remember it. We tend to actually accomplish it faster, and actually do it. And
actually do it. Yeah.
Prioritize. Yeah, exactly.
Yes,
Yeah,
I totally
definitely.
agree. I totally agree. And it is a good one. And, I think it's important, as important and handy as it is to have our phones, because, we have it usually with us. It's nice to be able to kind of disconnect from the phone and be working with something tangible, whether it's your journal or your book or what have you. Writing it down, it does make a big difference for me too, for sure.
So cross things to actually cross it off. That's kind of fun, just erase it off.
Yes, actually. And there is, when we cross things off of our list, we do receive a release of dopamine. So it's very satisfying for us. So it's like, yes, let's do more of that. So even if it's just little things, that you put on there that you already did, so you can put it on there and then cross it off, you're actually neurologically stimulating yourself for more success. So win-win.
Exactly. So tell us about maybe what would be a favorite success app or book or podcast that you like? What kind of what would you recommend to our viewers?
Well, I think in line with the advice that I would give my past self of like always staying connected to your reasoning and to your intention to things is really staying aligned with your mindset and your inner dialogue and the way that you're viewing things, perspective you take on things. And so because I've been doing a lot of work on that intentionally over the last few years and specifically over the last few months, I was drawn to a podcast called Mind Your Business.
Yes.
Mind Your Business, and it's by James Wedmore, and he's amazing. He's super insightful. He's a great interviewer, but the whole premise of the podcast is the inner game. So he says that 90% of entrepreneurship is the inner game or the mindset, and then about 10 to 20% is the systems and the structures. And so he really validates the importance of coming back to your intention, of minding your inner dialogue and staying attuned to your emotional guidance. And so in his words, it's a lot of woo-woo, which is, I think, he also backs it from a scientific perspective. So he talks a lot about it from a neuro-linguistic programming and different mindset strategies that you can use. So it's science-backed woo-woo, if you will. And so I'm super jazzed on it right now, and I find it so powerful because he gives a lot of tips and techniques because they look at it from a neuroscience perspective and how we can program our brain and how we can affect ourselves on these different levels. So Mind Your Business is the podcast that I would definitely recommend.
Love it. I'm going to have to go get it right away.
Check it out. It's good.
Find that one.
Yeah. It's really great. Mm-hmm.
Well, good. Sounds like it's really been helpful for you and your success. So it sounds like it would be great for our viewers as well. Okay, so one of the things I always ask people would be, you've kind of touched on it, but I'd like you to really drill down. What would be your number one favorite tip for success?
I think it kind of, all comes together, but definitely for me, my most powerful tip currently is the way that I start the day is the way that I live my life. And so it's really important for me, essential in fact, to take time for myself every morning. Because I noticed that, for a while I would just wake up and I would turn on my phone and I would check my emails, Facebook, Instagram, and that would really affect the tone of my day. And so I have I don't want to call it a rule because I'm kind of a rule breaker in general. So a guideline for myself is that no phone until after breakfast. And so what that's done is allow me to really designate a time where I'm only devoting my attention to myself. Because in the role that I have and as an entrepreneur, I'm very much, I'm giving to people all day, and I'm sharing these tools, I'm interacting, and I'm serving. And so if I wasn't taking time to serve myself by way of giving myself this time and attention in the morning, what example am I leading there? And then, I'm not leading by a good example, A, and B, it really affects the quality of my day, because if I don't take time to do my gratitude or my journaling or my meditation and specifically my exercise and my yoga, then I'm a totally different person. And it's not in a good way either. Like I'm really not as grounded. I'm not as physically present. I have more tension in my body. And so my tip would be to give yourself a dedicated amount of time every morning. And I understand with people with children, that might be a smaller window, but even 2 minutes, even 5 minutes is very potent if we can give ourselves that internal time to check in, and whether it's through your breath or meditation or movement or whatever it is really connecting inwards that allows us to come from that place of internal alignment and also presence. And we're, again, tuning into ourself and therefore our motivation and all of it. It kind of has this expansive trickle effect. So that would be my suggestion.
Well, I love it. It's actually, my favorites too. I always recommend that to people. You start the day off on the right tone, right? Mm-hmm. Positive and productive. So getting up and already like making the bed, you're already being productive, you start exercise or whatever it is that you're going to do to start the day. And it just really does set that tone. So I love that that's your favorite success tip as well.
Oh, good. Yay.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So I know you have a freebie for everybody. I'm going to pull that up right now. So why don't you go ahead and tell us about that?
Okay, great. Yes. So the video that I want to share that I'm really excited for you all to try out is a 10-minute neck and shoulder tension release. So it is a 10-minute video that you can do anytime, anywhere, specifically right at your desk with no extra equipment. So you're taking a yoga break and you can do it in your work clothes right at your desk. So you don't need to change. You don't even need to leave your office. And what it's going to do is take you through a sequence, a 10-minute sequence, to not only tune into your breath and sort of draw your attention inwards so that we can lower our stress levels, which also in turn boosts our productivity. What you're going to be doing is taking yourself through your comfortable range of motion in your shoulders and in your upper back so that we can set yourself into a stronger posture. And so by doing so, you're activating the muscles that hold you in strong posture that will keep you, in a more upright vertical position, and simultaneously we'll be doing stretches to ease the tension that you might be feeling in your neck, shoulders, upper back, wrists, wherever. Because you're in that neutral or strong alignment, then you're more likely to hold that position, and then you take the tools that you're learning there and you can incorporate them periodically throughout the day. So that's the freebie that I'm super grateful to share with everybody.
Excellent. And we have that link right up there, and we'll also have it in any of our posts as well. So that's pretty exciting. Thank you so much, Megan. It has been a joy to have you on and to learn more about your business and all the great things that you're doing for your clients. And I'm sure that many people watching this are going to be wanting to contact you and find out how they can be one of your clients as well.
Great. I'd love that. Thank you.
You're welcome. So for any of you out there, if you'd like to be on Let's Talk Shop with me, Mickie Giacomini, contact me today at info.dragonflyranch@gmail.com. Have a great day, everybody.